Hi everyone, this is Esther Camacho with the McAllen Public Library, and welcome to another episode of Frontier Roots, Vanished Towns of the Rio Grande Valley. One of the towns that flourished for a while but vanished was Monte Cristo. It does have a historical marker in the location where it was, and it's like northwest of Edinburgh. And it was founded around 1909 by the Melado Land Company. By 1910, it had its own post office. And by 1911, there were two stores operated in the community by A.A. Guerra and Emilio Vela. So this town was flourishing since it started. And at its highest point, it had 36 farm families living nearby. It had, its own post office, a hotel, a railroad depot. They were very successful at getting that depot all the way to Monte Cristo. They had retail stores. They had a lumber yard. They had a church. They had a newspaper, which was called the Monte Cristo Hustler, and it was published by Virgil Lott. It was one of the only English written newspapers at that time. Unfortunately, it did have a downfall. They had a water well that dried up, and it was very, very important for that whole community to have that functioning water well. And they were not successful in having another water well in that area. Then they had issues with the border raids that were happening around 1915, 1916. They were not immune to that, and people were moving away because of that because they didn't really feel very protected there. And then the railroad line abandoned that track. So there was no more track going to Monte Cristo. And by that time, people really started moving away. San Fordyce is another town that is out there. It's west of Penitas, or at least it was, between Penitas and Los Ebanos. It was named after Sam Fordyce, who promoted the construction of the St. Louis, Brownsville, and Mexico Railway around 1904. There was a post office that was moved from the town of Havana all the way to Sam Fordyce, except they refused to call it Sam Fordyce. They just made it one single word, Sam Fordyce. This was very important for the military because it was on its route and it was a supply depot for them. So after the troops left the area, the town started to decline until there was just a ghost town. But in the 1970s, that ghost town was reconstructed for the filming of the novel She Came to the Valley. But it still does not exist any longer. There are many other towns in the Rio Grande Valley that no longer exist, and I'm going to name a few. Klausner, this one, him and a couple of partners had put up $20,000 to develop this town, but it never went anywhere. And so it did not last. He also had another town by the name of Mamie after one of his daughters, but that didn't go anywhere either. There was a town of Chihuahua. That was another one that just was short-lived. We have Ebenezer, which is now where Alamo is right now. So it was there, and then the name changed. It is now the Alamo. And then the Llano Grande, that is in the area where Weslaco is today. So some of these towns just transformed to a new name, and of course they are very successful now. So some recommended readings if you want to learn more about the history of the valley. The Rio Grande Valley of Texas by Leo and Lillian Stombaugh. It's a good one to read. The Heritage Sampler. This is excellent if you want to get a list of all the towns that no longer exist and a brief description. This is the book to have. A Brief History of the Lower Rio Grande Valley by Frank Cushman Pierce is also an excellent book to look at. So thanks for watching Frontier Roots, Vanished Towns of RGV. So next time on Frontier Roots, daily happenings in Hidalgo County. And we're going to look at some newspaper articles that gives you a little glimpse of the daily life in our area. The good, the bad, and I want to say ugly, but not so positive. So this is Esther Camacho from the McAllen Public Library. Don't forget to leave your comments below and to like us on Facebook. So see you next time on Frontier Roots.